They say marriage is about sacrifice, but nobody warns you that sometimes you're the only one making it. My name's Eli Moreno. I'm a 34-year-old electrician from Manchester. Husband, father of 2, provider, protector. I never grew up with much. So, when I met Leah, I swore I'd give her everything I never had: a warm home, safety, stability, a real family. After our second child, she left her job, said she wanted to raise the kids full-time. I agreed, but when expenses stacked up, rent, food, diapers, fuel, everything, I picked up a second job. Night shifts at a shipping depot, no days off. 4 hours of sleep max. Leah said she understood. Said she was proud of me, but deep down something felt off. Every time I kissed her goodbye, she looked just a little colder. Every time I came home, she looked a little more distant. I told myself I was overthinking, but that feeling in my gut, it was trying to save me. At first I thought it was just the stress. Working 80-hour weeks, barely sleeping, juggling classes on the weekend. Maybe I was slipping. Maybe I wasn't being the man Leah needed me to be. But the little things started to add up. She stopped leaving her phone on the kitchen counter like she used to. It was always in her hand, always flipped face down, even in the bathroom. I'd come home from my second shift and try to crawl into bed with her, but the door would be locked. She said she was sleeping with the kids, said they'd been having nightmares. But our son was barely 2. He couldn't even tell me if that was true. When I'd finally get into the room, she'd jolt awake, phone already tucked under her pillow, acting like I caught her in something, but claiming she was just tired. One night I asked if everything was okay. She paused, then smiled, said, "I'm just exhausted." You know how it is. But I didn't, because exhaustion doesn't come with the scent of men's cologne on your jacket. It doesn't explain why she'd start asking questions she never used to care about. What time are you off tonight again? Are you stopping at the store? Where are you right now? They weren't casual questions. They felt coordinated, like she was building a map of my movements. Then, she started leaving the house earlier than ever, said she had to open at her part-time job, but I checked the schedule once. She wasn't even working that day. I wanted to ask. I wanted to scream, "Where are you really going?" But I didn't, because deep down I was scared of the answer. The worst part? When I finally had a weekend off, I thought it would bring us closer. But it was the opposite. I planned a little picnic with the kids, packed everything. Her favorite, juice, the snack she loved from the Caribbean deli downtown. She looked at the basket like it was a burden. Said, "I already told you I was going to take a bath and get some alone time today." That alone time lasted 4 hours. By the time she came out, the food was cold, and the kids had fallen asleep waiting for her. No apology, no explanation. Just silence. And that silence, it was the loudest confirmation I'd ever heard. It was the last Saturday in October. I'd just finished a brutal double shift and made it home past midnight. Leah was still awake, sitting on the couch in her robe, phone in hand. Screen dimmed, but I caught the soft glow of a chat app before she locked it. "Hey," I said, trying to sound normal. But she didn't look up right away, just mumbled, "Hey, you're late." I sat beside her, rubbed her leg. "Can we talk?" She sighed, long and tired, like she was the one who had been working non-stop. But she nodded. I told her I missed us, that I knew I hadn't been affectionate, that I'd been distant, that I'd been giving everything to this second job, trying to keep the bills paid, the fridge full, our kids clothed. But I missed her. I was honest, vulnerable. I told her I wanted to try again. For real. Start slow. Date nights. Touch more. Laugh more. Love more. There was a long pause. Then she said something that hit harder than I expected. She whispered, "You always say that, but it never lasts." Her words cut deeper than I wanted to admit, because she wasn't entirely wrong. I had fallen into a pattern working until I collapsed, then waking up just long enough to say, "I'll do better." But this time felt different, because I had seen the edge of what losing her might look like, and I couldn't take that, so I did change. The next day, I made her breakfast. Not just toast, I went full Gordon Ramsay. Omelette, fruit, coffee the way she liked it. She smiled, a real one, and kissed my cheek. That whole week, I texted her sweet nothings, left sticky notes in her coat pocket, told her I loved her at random times just to see her smile, and for a while, it seemed like it was working. She laughed at my stupid jokes again. Let me rub her back while she watched her shows. She even sent me a selfie one day, hair down, makeup done in the mirror. No caption, just her. I screenshotted it. I still have it, but something was still off. The spark in her eyes didn't fully return. Her kisses, while warm, were short. Her hugs, they felt practiced. At night, she'd still take those long baths, still sleep with the kids instead of me, still keep that damn phone glued to her like it was her oxygen supply. But I ignored it, because I was hopeful. Because hope, when you're desperate, is louder than reason, and for the first time in weeks, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, we were going to be okay. Thanksgiving. It was supposed to be a reset, a new chapter. I took the morning shift at the logistics depot and promised her I'd be home early enough to help prep dinner with her family. Leah texted me around 9 a.m. "Don't be late tonight. I really want this to go well." And that text, it gave me hope again. For a split second, I believed we were on the right track. I got home around 3 p.m., rushed through the door with a pie I'd grabbed from her favorite bakery. I found her in the bathroom fixing her makeup. She looked beautiful. Hair curled, soft peach lipstick, new perfume. I wrapped my arms around her from behind, kissed her neck. "I missed you today," I whispered. She froze for half a second, then pulled away. "Don't mess up my makeup," she said with a light chuckle, brushing me off like dust on her shoulder. Something about that felt cold. But I didn't say anything. I convinced myself she was just nervous about dinner. So we drove to her sister's house with the kids, surrounded by family and laughter. The illusion of normalcy in full effect, but Leah, she was somewhere else. She barely made eye contact with me for the first half hour. Her phone stayed underneath the table, her fingers tapping in short, secretive bursts. I watched her, pretending not to. She'd glance at me occasionally, then go right back to her screen. When I asked her to help me make our son's plate, she said, "Can you just do it? I'm tired." But as soon as she sat back down, her fingers went to work again, texting someone else. That night after dinner, I offered to take our son home early so he could get to bed. She said she'd stay a little longer. Said her sister wanted to catch up. I kissed her on the forehead and told her I'd be waiting. She didn't say it back. Hey, if you're still here and the story's resonating with you, a quick like would mean a lot. It really helps the channel and tells me to keep sharing stories like this. Thanks so much. At 1:37 a.m., I heard the lock click. She crept in, thinking I was asleep. I felt her slide into bed, turned toward her. She turned away. I reached for her. She pushed me off gently and whispered, "Not tonight. I'm on my period." And that was the moment something inside me snapped. Not in anger, in clarity. I knew. I didn't want to know, but I knew. When I was sure she was asleep, I reached under her hip, carefully lifted the blanket, and found her phone. She stirred. I dropped it under the bed, fast. She groaned, half awake, fingers feeling around for it, but I stayed still, silent, heart pounding. Eventually, she gave up, and when her breathing steadied, I reached under, pulled the phone out, hands shaking. I opened her messages. The first thread, a man named Jordan. I tapped it. My heart left my body. "I dreamed of you again last night. Wish I could have spent the holiday in your arms. You make me feel alive again. Photos, Voice notes, a half-nude mirror pic she took that same morning when she told me not to mess up her makeup. She'd been texting him through dinner, while our son played at her feet, while I looked at her like she was still mine. I sat there for over an hour, just scrolling, reading, dying a little more with every swipe, and when I couldn't take it anymore, I woke her up. I didn't raise my voice, I didn't throw anything, I didn't storm out, I just sat at the edge of the bed, phone in hand. Leah stirred, eyes blinking open, and I said calmly, "Who's Jordan?" Her whole body tensed like she'd been hit. With cold water, she tried to play dumb. "What? Who? What are you talking about?" I held up the phone, her message thread open like an open wound. "Tell me the truth. All of it. Right now." Her mouth opened, but no sound came out, just the sound of her guilt settling into the silence. Then she broke. It was nothing serious. "We just talked. That's all." I laughed. A single bitter laugh. "So you talked to all your friends about dreaming of cuddling in their arms on Thanksgiving? Is that what friends do now?" She sat up, now trying to take the phone from me. I pulled it back. "How many times was it physical?" She hesitated. "Too long," then whispered, "Just once." I froze. I stared at her, trying to process. "You expect me to believe that? You gave him something you promised only to me." She started crying, whispering, "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." I cut her off. When did it start? October? Mid-October? But that didn't make sense. I had seen call logs that went back further. So all those nights you were working late, the long baths, sleeping with the kids, locking the door. "It wasn't like that," she said quickly. "We were just talking then." I stood up. I couldn't sit next to her anymore. My mind was unraveling, calculating every second I had worked overtime just so she could feel alive again with another man. And while I was working doubles, you were giving yourself to someone else? She broke down, crying harder, covering her face, saying it was a mistake, that she was lost, that she missed feeling wanted. I asked again, "Would you have ever told me if I didn't find out?" She was silent. That was all the answer I needed. I left the room and sat in the hallway. Felt like the air had been ripped from my lungs. That entire Black Friday I went to work like a ghost. I lifted boxes. I smiled at customers, I joked with coworkers, but inside, I was somewhere else. I was watching a movie play on loop in my head. Of her, of him, of everything she gave him that I thought only belonged to us. I couldn't cry. Not yet. The pain was still too new, too raw. But the anger was rising. After that night, something inside me changed. Not on the outside. Not at first. We still slept in the same bed, still woke up together, still played the role, and in some twisted way, we got closer. Leah started being more affectionate, initiated, intimacy like never before, every day, kisses in the morning, surprise hugs, even little love notes tucked into my jacket pocket. But I knew what it was. Guilt, or fear, or both. It wasn't love, not anymore. It was atonement, temporary comfort, for permanent damage. I tried to pretend like it was working, tried to enjoy the reconnection, but I couldn't stop seeing it. I'd close my eyes and picture her lips on him, her texts, her voice notes, her lies. And every night after she fell asleep, I'd check her phone again, like an addict. I wasn't looking for closure. I was hunting for truth, because deep down I knew she hadn't told me everything. And guess what? She hadn't. I checked the phone records, cross-referenced call logs, timestamps, voicemail activity. Their affair started long before October. There were late-night calls stretching back to early September, texts sent while I was in class, while I was holding our daughter. When I confronted her, she doubled down. We were just friends then. I didn't believe her. I wanted to. God, I needed to, but the pieces didn't fit. Why lie about the timeline? I asked. Why keep changing the story? She looked at me with watery eyes and said, because I knew if you had the whole truth, you'd never look at me again. And maybe she was right, but all that did was push me further. I started tracking, watching her GPS history, checking the car mileage before and after work. I was spiraling full-blown obsession. Every time she said, I love you, I heard, please don't dig deeper, and still I dug. I begged her, just tell. The whole truth. I can't keep living like this. And she'd cry. Say she didn't remember. Say it didn't matter anymore. Say she was trying to move forward. Why couldn't I? Because I couldn't shake the feeling that there was one more lie. One more layer. So I played my final card. I told her I'd found videos that I had evidence. Her face went white. She stuttered. Then finally, she broke. Okay, she whispered. It wasn't just once. She confessed to multiple encounters, different places, different days, and just like that, every ounce of progress, gone. All that trust I tried to rebuild, shattered. And, in that moment, I realized something terrifying. She never would have stopped. She never would have told me, not unless she got caught. We sat in silence after her confession. No more excuses, no more watered-down stories, just a woman sobbing into her palms, and a man staring at her like she was a stranger. For a few days, I didn't say much, didn't yell, didn't lash out. I just existed. She tried to talk, tried to hug me, reconnect, fix things, but every touch felt like fire on my skin. That Sunday morning, I decided to go for a walk, cleared my head, tried to breathe, but something pulled at me. Something didn't sit right. I still had access to her email, something she never changed. When I got home, I logged in, just to check. I didn't expect much, but then I found a draft folder, and inside, an unsent message, addressed to him. Jordan, I miss you. I can't stop thinking about that weekend. I told him some of the truth, but not all of it. I don't think I ever will. I'm trying to make things right for the kids, but my heart is still with you. I'll always wonder what would have happened if we ran away like we said we would. I froze. Ran away? They plan to leave? Leave me? Leave. The kids? There were even travel searches in her browser. One-way flights, hotel bookings that were never confirmed, conversations about starting over in Vancouver. That was the moment I realized. This wasn't just a slip. This wasn't a one-night mistake. This was a plan. A full-blown alternate life she was ready to choose. And the only reason she didn't was because she got caught. I confronted her one final time. I read the draft out loud, word for word. She collapsed, broke down like never before, tried to spin it, said it was a fantasy, said she was scared, said she was confused and never meant to act on it, but the timeline told the truth. So you weren't just cheating, I said. You were preparing to leave. You were going to abandon your own kids to chase some affair. That crushed her. And me, I didn't even cry. I was too far gone for tears. The twist isn't just that she cheated, it's that she meant it. Every word, every plan, every lie. The only reason she didn't follow through was because she failed to cover her tracks. We didn't sleep that night. Leah cried. I didn't. She begged me to stay, but I knew. Something had been broken beyond repair. Do you love me? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I stared at her. I couldn't answer right away. Because the truth was, I didn't know anymore. I wanted to. I wanted to believe that I could forgive her. I wanted to believe that we could rebuild. But every time I looked at her, all I could see were the lies, the hidden plans, the secret messages, the betrayal of my trust. It wasn't just the affair. It wasn't just the physical betrayal. It was the fact that she had made a choice. And that choice? She chose him over me. For months, she chose to live a double life. She chose him when I was working myself to the bone. She chose escape instead of commitment. And now, sitting in the wreckage of it all, I had to ask myself one question. Could I ever look at her the same way again? Could I forgive her for breaking us, for destroying everything we had? The silence between us grew heavier as the night dragged on. It wasn't just her I had to think about. It was the kids. It was myself. Could I live with the constant memory of what she did? Would I always question her loyalty, her words, her promises? In the end, I made my choice. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. I told her I needed space. I needed time to think, to heal. Maybe we could rebuild? Maybe we couldn't. But I couldn't keep pretending like everything was okay. I can't stay, I said. Her face shattered, but I didn't feel sorry for her anymore. I wasn't the same man who wanted to save her. I wasn't the same man who wanted to fix this. I was someone different now. Someone who had learned that sometimes love isn't enough. That sometimes you can't save what's already been broken beyond repair. I walked away, and every step felt like I was moving further from the life I thought I knew. Further from the love I thought I had. But the further I walked, the more I realized I wasn't walking away from love. I was walking towards myself. Sometimes the hardest part isn't leaving someone. It's leaving the version of yourself that loved them. Are you ready to make the hardest decision of your life? Do you stay, or do you walk away? Hit that like button if you've been through something similar. Share your story in the comments. Let's talk about the hardest moments in love and what they taught us. Subscribe for more real stories about betrayal, love, and the truth that always comes out in the end.